Observing and providing feedback to trainers has always been my favorite part about managing an L&D team. I've also always loved receiving feedback after someone observes me. Well, maybe not always, but most of the time. Hi, my name's Jordon Taylor with the Corporate Training Companion, and I can honestly say that feedback has been the most significant contributor to my development as a trainer. And because of that realization, I want to help. I want to help the trainers. I want to help the training managers, and I want to help them get better at observational feedback. So I'm going to walk you through the observation form that I use. I'll give you an insider's look at my observation process, and then I'll highlight a few pro tips along the way. So let's jump in. Okay, so here we have our observation form. It's built in Excel. And as you can see, all of the observations are going to run along the sheets at the bottom. The very first page is going to be the rubric. The rubric is going to be broken down into various competencies and their categories. So you can see we have a preparation category, a classroom management, a learner engagement, and then a content delivery and instructional quality category at the bottom. And each of those categories are going to have different competencies within them. So preparation, did they prepare the classroom or the virtual space? Did they ensure the technology is working? And then with each of those competencies, you have 3 different levels: developing, proficient, and exceptional. So there are a total of 19 competencies that this observation form is built off of. So now that we've looked at the navigation of how the rubric is set up, let's take a look at the form. And we have 6 observation forms, and you'll see how they build off of one another. The idea being that you will perform an observation for a particular person 6 times over a period of time, whether that's once a month or whether that's once every 2 weeks, however you want to do it. But they do build off of one another, and they string together through the goals, which I'll show you in a second. But first, let's just take a look at the observation form and how it's laid out. So first, you've got your observation session info, where you're going to put in the trainer's name, you're going to put in your name, you're going to put the date of the observation, the module or the session that you were observing, and how long you observed them. And then those same competencies are going to be listed here. And you've got a handy dandy little drop-down menu to choose developing, proficient, exceptional, or not applicable. Because there are times where you will run into a competency that there was no opportunity in the session that you observed to demonstrate that competency, which is okay, it happens. Each competency has a spot where you can put in your comments or your notes. And then if we move down, your key takeaways to summarize what went well and what can be improved. I like to call them glows and grows, and then a space for you to enter in goals. Goals for this trainer to work on and implement in their next observation. And on that note of goals, the really cool thing about this form is that the goals carry over and you can track them. So let me show you how these goals work. If I type in a goal, okay, I fast forwarded a little bit to type those out, but our 2 goals, Johnny will make sure that he allows at least 10 seconds of silence after asking a question at least 50% of the time in his next session. And Johnny will ask, what questions do you have, instead of any questions 100% of the time in his next session. So let's assume that you agreed on these goals with Johnny. The next observation, you're going to fill out observation form number 2. And as you can see, those goals are already carrying over, and you can, again, use this handy dandy little drop down to say whether or not he met this goal or whether or not he did not meet this goal. Now, there is also an NA option, because again, getting back to that idea that not every competency, every single session is going to be observable. It's the same idea with the goals. Sometimes you'll write a goal and there was just no opportunity to implement it. My rule of thumb is that if I get an NA for that reason 2 times in a row, I'm going to drop that goal and we will move on to a different goal. So that's your brief rundown of how this works. Now, here are a few pro tips. I highly recommend that before you start using any observation form, that you One, not only study the rubric yourself, but two, send it out to whoever you're observing and give them plenty of time to study it as well, because they need to know what they're being ranked against. Another pro tip, for observational feedback to work best over time, it should be something that's happening once or twice a month, at a minimum quarterly, but this should be something that is part of your operating system. My third pro tip is that as you are observing, do not select anything from a performance drop-down standpoint. You may not 100% know until the end of your observation if it's going to fall into the developing, proficient, or exceptional category. I encourage you to have this pulled up and jump around as you see things happen. Take notes of good time management skills being displayed. Take notes of not telling any stories or telling poor stories, and then save the selection of the actual ranking until afterward so you can take some time to reflect, fill out those rankings, fill out those key takeaways. Another pro tip, schedule the follow-up at the same time as you schedule the observation. Follow-up should always be within 24 hours of the observation whenever possible. If you can do it right after the observation, even better. The fresher the observation is in your mind, the better prepared you're going to be to give that observee meaningful feedback. And my last pro tip, I strongly encourage you to agree on the goals together. So have the conversation about what you observed. Have the conversation about what glows and grows you see, and then have a conversation and agree on what goals they need to tackle before their next session. And that's it. Everyone studies the rubric, 1 to 2 observations a month. Only take notes during observations, reflect and make sure you follow up within 24 hours, and agree on goals together. So there you have it, a full rundown of the observation form that I use and some best practices I have for observing trainers. If you would like me to send you a copy of the observation form template, follow the link in the show notes. There's a 30-second form to fill out, and it'll be sent to you automatically. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon so you get notified when new weekly content comes out. My name is Jordon Taylor with the Corporate Training Companion, asking you, did you learn something? Did you have a little bit of fun doing it? And if so, mission accomplished. Until next time.